Last one. Huh?
We're flying along.
Yeah. No calculators required.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a little bit about external amplifiers, some spread spectrum stuff. What are communications that are prohibited? An auxiliary station, the interoperability with Canadians, a special temporary authority, which is kind of a one-off one. I don't know that very many amateurs are doing spread spectrum. You're only allowed to do it currently above 222 megahertz. Basically, that's what cell phones use, and the newer radio control things are all spread spectrum. But that's all up in the 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz range. I think the main reason is it's such a wide bandwidth because of the way it works. Because by definition, it spreads the spectrum out over a very large bandwidth, and you get multiple frequencies in there, which are basically encoded. So that's how you get very secure communications, because it was actually developed by the military for that purpose. On what frequencies are spread spectrum transmissions permitted? Power amplifiers. If they have a bunch of things, a dealer can sell one. If it doesn't have FCC certification and it's in use condition from an amateur and is sold to another amateur for use at that station, because if you're licensed, you don't have to get an FCC certification for a piece of equipment, because you can build it and not have to get certification. If you were to build it and try to sell them, then you'd have to get it certified. So you can buy uncertified equipment at handfests, various things, as long as you're going to use it and you're licensed. If it does have to qualify, then it's got to meet the minus 43 dB spurious emissions when it's operated at 1500 watts or less. And if you're not a licensed amateur, you can't build one, nor can you operate one. Under what circumstances may a dealer sell an external RF power amplifier capable of operation below 144 megahertz if it has not been granted FCC certification?
Not my trust myself.
I don't know why they cut it off at 144. I guess that implies that if you're doing something at 70 centimeters, any of the 2.4 gigahertz, it doesn't have to be certified. I don't think that's true. I don't think that would be true. It's kind of weird why in the rules they say below 124. Which of the following best describes one of the standards that must be met by an external RF power amplifier if it is to qualify for a grant of FCC certification. Canada. So there's this thing called the A line. There's also a B line. The A line is a line that runs south of the U.S.-Canadian border. The B line runs parallel and north of the Canadian border. If you're on the U.S. side, within the border and line A, you're restricted to not operating in the 420 to 430 megahertz segment. There's a similar restriction on the Canadian side. And they actually, in the actual regulations, they actually spell out the exact path where that line goes.
What's this like? Just have this block of frequency, like, you know, that's right. I
So yeah, the US state.
Right.
North of that, you have to some degrees. What, right?
No, south.
South. Okay, so I have B is north.
B is the Canadian line, A is the U.S. line.
Okay. So within that, restricted.
Right. Because they have some stuff that operates in that frequency band. So we become secondary, actually worse, because we're not supposed to operate at all at frequency in that area. And because that's typically line of sight, and that's why it's a short distance.
so the restriction is true for Canada or for us. I think it's
If you're between the border and line A, it's U.S. restriction. There's a similar thing on the Canadian side. I don't remember what it is. But they have, if they're operating below line B and the U.S. border, they have a similar restriction.
so I think it's between the line and the border, it's not fair. So it's not.
Well, and I think in most cases it's the 420, 430, because whatever uses that band, you can interfere with it on either side.
It's like demilitarized stuff.
Yeah, basically. And somewhere I think it told what was actually operating in that band. I don't remember what it was, but there's some other service that maybe it's military. I don't know. Maybe it's the border watch thing. Keep track of aliens crossing the border. Which of the following geographic descriptions approximately describes line A? And they don't define it as so many miles. They just do it from this point to this point to this point, all the way across. Canadians kind of have a reciprocal agreement, and if they have a Canadian license, they can operate in the United States with the same privileges, except they cannot exceed the privileges of an extra class. That's what the actual regulation says down there. So what privileges are authorized in the U.S. to persons holding an amateur service license granted by the government of Canada? Compensated communications. You're not allowed to accept any material compensation for operating a station, except one exception is you're a teacher and you're getting paid to, as part of your curriculum is teaching and operating an amateur radio station. So you can, that way you're getting paid for operating the station. That's about the only exception. There's an issue of sending messages to a business. You can do it if it's not for commercial reasons. In other words, you're not doing it to make any money, say. It could be something because you bought a piece of equipment from them, transceiver is not working right or something, and you could be contacting them on the radio to talk about it. I think that would be legal, but it wouldn't be legal to try to go purchase one over the radio from a business, or actually set up your own business and try to sell stuff using amateur radio. And that's the way they actually say it in the 97 rules. So which of the following types of amateur station communications are prohibited? An amateur station send a message to a business. To encrypt transmissions in order to obscure their meaning. You can come up with your own protocol, like your own FT8 type thing or whatever, as long as you document the protocol and publish it in the public domain so somebody could decipher the transmission. If you don't do that, then it's called obscuring it. You're not allowed to do that. The only exception, like I mentioned, was with radio control models or telecommands for space station. Which of the following cannot be transmitted over an amateur radio mesh network? It was a tricky one. Apply to any. Well, there you say it. This is a trick one. Let's see what's tricky about it. Who may be the control operator of an auxiliary station?
What?
They claim there's still some novice licenses. You can't get one, a new one. But I guess you can hold on to it. I thought rules were that you had to upgrade to a technician or something after a certain period of time. But apparently there's some way.
Some people are like just hanging on. That's not going to.
What's his that?
Well, that's like people that have
You can't make
There's a lot of people that have advance and won't get an extra because, you can't get an advance anymore.
I saw some yesterday. They said there's about 35,000.
Yeah. It's just that, and the difference between advanced and extra is not that much. That's another vanity thing. Okay, there's a special temporary authority that you can get to do experimental operations. Like if you want to try some new type protocol or a different frequency band, like, do something in 30 gigahertz or some sort of thing, you can apply for this special temporary authority. Well, I have no idea what it takes. Get one, but I'm sure there's money involved. In fact, it says it's a proper filing fee. Under what circumstances might the FCC issue a special temporary authority to an amateur station?
So I'm back, I'm guessing I look at certain frequency and if they're special temporary authorities, they transmit the clear or something like that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Of course, you have to have a good enough selling job to convince them. And I don't think that's said, but I thought there was a time limit on it, on how long it was valid.
What's the name?
All right.
So next week.
Well, we have safety, which I believe is only one group, and we missed one number of sessions back. We just have two groups. Forgot what it was, but it was one of the earlier ones. It might be your. Nothing was hard. It was one of them that had about eight groups, and we missed the last one. But probably a good thing because we were running long anyway.
So this test is really good questions.
The test is 50 questions, standard, multiple choice, 4 answers. You circle the appropriate one because we use a plastic template with holes. So you need to make sure you darken it. If you change your mind, try to erase it, which doesn't usually work all that well, and you wind up with a smeary blob. So we want you to write the actual letter out to the side that you really want, kind of like the hanging chad thing, to say what it is. A big thing is, especially on the extra, if you run into a question and you're not sure about it, and you decide I'll come back, the biggest problem people have is you'll go to the next question. Oh, okay, that's A, and then go circle A on the line for the previous question. And then when you get down, you're at the end and you're on 49. Oh, shit. And the only thing we can do is let you take another exam. Or I guess we could, do the same one, but a new answer sheet and start over.
Unless that causes you to get better score for the.
Because there may be no way to figure out where you messed up. So that's one to really be careful of. Don't be in a hurry. There's no time limit. Most people do the extra in under 30 minutes. We had at our last session at Cars, We had a guy do it in probably 15. He missed one.
Wow.
He took his technician pass, took his general pass, took the extra, and missed it by one, and hadn't studied. And he didn't want to try.
Exactly. No, actually, people say just science. They think that's BS. Because there's no way.
Like, there's no, I don't think we.
See, hey, you can test. State aim and finish. We're gonna give you some tests. You know, spread the state.
Well,
fish.
but he did so well.
Both. That's it, so
This one,
Yeah, but remember, the rules and regulations that we just did is only 6. You can miss all of them.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And there's only about 4 of the technical ones where you need a calculator. You can miss those. You're only up to 10. You still got 3.
Well, confident.
I still find it hard to.
Now, you shouldn't just plan on missing all of them, because a lot of these are really obvious and easy.
What time is the test?
10 out.
They're on you in 2 weeks, you mean?
Mhm.
The library. It's like 9:30.
Yeah, okay.
So if we all pass, we'll just say notes.
It's okay.
That's just,
Yeah.
I'm saying, we just
Yeah,
told us all the stuff.
yeah.
He kills it.
The library opens at 9, so we show up at 9. We have to set up the room. So people, Gary's not happy when people show up late, but he will usually let them in. That's not true with all of them. Sometimes if you're late, come back next time.
When I took the first one up there, I was back there, I don't know, Monday after 9. It's the last one. 10 minutes early.
So he hasn't sent out an email yet, usually like a week or so before. So I have no idea how many people he's got signed up. I assume everybody here is going to try it.
Especially actually.
Are not that day?
No,
No,
yes.
Again? What is with this?
There's another option.
Well, let's see. That's the 21st. I believe there's an ARL and a CARS Tuesday before that. Okay, but that costs you 15.
oh, $45.
Okay, so not that I plan on taking it, I would say this. You said there's one in 2 weeks, but then when is one after it?
Well, the next Laurel one will be 2 months from that.
See, that's. I need one.
Well, what would happen?
Well, the T-Cars alternates. Okay, they do Laurel on odd months and ARL on even months. So the following month will be one over here. There's we are.
Saturday. Yeah,
Okay, and they've been normally doing them on Wednesday nights on the 3rd Wednesday over here at the fire training station with Vince, and then we do NASA one at Cars Park every 3rd Tuesday. That's an ARL also. So the ARL one costs you 15.
Yeah, next day.
Bob, Bob?
Yes.
Sorry, I hope I'm not interrupting somebody, but sometimes I hear the audience, sometimes I don't. and I apologize if I interrupted anybody, but I'm just curious, what is this, session 7 or 6?
7.
Okay, so we got one more next week.
One more, we got two groups of the safety and one we missed from an earlier session. And then we'll do the practice exam. The initial class, I'm setting up. That's a guy that has to be set up. Like the activities, correct? So have the class. Yeah, class. We'll find it. Just let's see. Saturday.